Welcome back. Welcome back to episode 14, Gel and Tell. Today we are joined by the one, the only Uncle Jim, also known as Jim Beattie. For those of you that don't know Jim,
How you
he's going
doing?
to introduce himself in a sec, but he is my beloved uncle, Nora and I's ex-colleague from the Forces days, CTO
Also my
Nora's uncle too, because we're now related by default. Just an all-round top legend and AI extraordinaire. So we are so excited for this chat and can't wait for Jim to spill the beans on what's going on in the tech world and his career of how many years? But yeah, anyway, Jim, introduce yourself. Passing you the mic.
Hiya, I'm Uncle Jim. Most people know me as the owner of a dog called Douglas. On the side, I did 25 years in technology. I was a CTO for about 10, and now I've set up my own business doing AI stuff.
Love it. Jim, you also were a DJ, were you not?
Oh, well was. So yeah, I used to be a DJ, did a load of that, used to play to thousands of people every week, loved my life, then gave it all up for a boring tech job. Great news is I've been booked to do a festival in Portugal this year, so he's back on the road, boom.
a DJ name.
Oh, no, we're not going there. Well, so, okay, so we
I want to hear it.
like called kindergarten, and then we just ended up being kindergarten. So people used to call me Jim Kindergarten back then, and Martin Kindergarten, who was an investor in Fortis.
So will you be playing as kindergarten?
I don't know. I think probably me. It'll be great fun though. Martin may make an appearance as well.
Nice. Do you not think your DJ name should be Uncle Jim?
Maybe it should. Maybe it should now. Yeah, absolutely. Or El Jimbo or something like that.
I love it.
Where can the people find this event? Maybe some people might want to fly to Portugal to.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So it's August Bank Holiday weekend. I will let you know.
Boom. Trip to Portugal on the cards for Gel, I think, Nora.
Get in. Let's get on it, girls.
Love it. Okay, fantastic. Well, let's rewind the clock a bit, Jimbo. I think let's start where it all began. So we'd love to know, you've had such a colourful career and obviously so many things. So maybe just share a bit about how you went into technology in the first place and ended up going through so many motions to IPO in a business to working and building a startup. Walk us through it.
Story is, so I was a DJ and I was doing really well, and I didn't know whether I was going to move into tech, which is obviously significantly less fun, or sort of try and be a DJ. And I thought by the time I'm 40, I'll be dead if I'm a DJ. So I should probably try and do I should probably try and do a boring tech job. But I did both for a while. So I was playing at various clubs in Manchester and Leeds, but also holding down the tech job, which was pretty boring tech job in Liverpool, doing programming in a language, basically on green screens, really old school in an insurance company. But I had flex time back then, so pretty cool life. Once one of my colleagues saw me at the revolving doors outside the office with a big record bag, and he was like, "What are you doing, Jim?" And I was like, "I'm off to Paris. I've got a DJ gig." So we did Paris in a day. Then we went up the Eiffel Tower, saw the Mona Lisa, all those things that you have to do, ate some frog's legs, and then got back on a plane and back to Liverpool. So those are the days. So, but then my then wife Lou got pregnant, and we earned the same amount of money. So I had to somehow double my salary pretty quickly. Went down to Slough, lived in the Slough Travel Lodge for 12 months of my life when Jacob was just born. So I was commuting to Slough during the week. It was pretty miserable, to be honest, although you'd have been proud of me, Nora. Because I was eating in the same places in Slough all the time. I actually had a spreadsheet on the go with all of the Travel Lodge meals and the calories, and then and if I go to McDonald's, then I'm going to have a large Big Mac meal with a Diet Coke, so these are the calories and the salt of that. If I go to KFC, I'm definitely going to have a Zinger Tower meal. So I would try and stay on top of things. As you can hear, it was a very healthy spreadsheet. So that was good. But I mean, it's not sustainable, that really, is it, when you've got a little kid and you're living in Travelodge in Slough? So we moved to London, and I was really lucky to join a little tiny company no one had heard of called Just Eat. I remember my interview with a bloke called Carlos. It's very funny because they did their first TV ad during my job interview, and the website fell over, and the tech guy that was responsible for fixing the website was under so much stress that he just turned his phone off and ran out of the office and never came back. So my interview was only like 10 minutes long before Mr. Carlos had to run out of the interview. But he offered me the job, so we moved down. Just Eat was ace, right? It went from like no one's heard of us to I set up this international development team, and it started with just me. Carlos gave me the job of like figuring out how to do like Just Eat around the world, and at the end, there were like 100 of us. And this is just a great story. This is my last week at Just Eat, so had to go and hand over some stuff in Sydney. I got upgraded to first class on Etihad on the flight out, and what that means is like massages in the airport. It means like vintage bolly all the way there. But then there's this lady, the like maitre d' or whatever of the plane, kept giving me lots of attention and said to me, "Do you want a tour of the planes?" I've never had a tour of an A380 before, and I like planes.
Yeah.
So I did the tour, and as I was going down the galleys, she was stopping the air hostesses and saying, "This is our customer from first class, Mr. Beattie. These are the cabin crew." And as we got further down the plane, she got her confidence up, and she was saying, "This is James Beattie," and I was like, "What?" And she said, "Well, how do you rate our cabin crew?" "Oh, I'll give you all a 10. And as I was going down the stairs, she said, "I bet those legs are insured for a lot of money." And I thought, Jesus, well, how do I get out of this one? But I oiled up and had probably like 2 bottles of Bollinger by that point, so I just played along. She asked me who I played for. I said, "You wouldn't have heard of them," because I didn't know.
Nora, for context, James Beattie is a football player, or was a football player.
Yeah,
I saw your cogs ticking, and I was like, "There's a."
I put the story together.
So I get confused for a footballer, right? And things are going pretty well. But then when I'm in Sydney, I went to this like gala marketing party, and we're talking like outrageous Mad Men stuff, girls bursting out of birthday cakes, or all kinds of like not very PC stuff. And there was a DJ, and our account director wanted to introduce me to the DJ because he's a guy that I really like as a DJ. And the DJ's manager saying like, no, sorry, you can't see this. And then he looks up and says, "Oh my God, it's Jim Beattie." So then I got recognised in Sydney as me, because he's a DJ guy. So that was my last week at Just Eat. I felt like the absolute boy, and it's all been downhill from there.
What a story, though. Love that. You are a celebrity, though. So I think what's really interesting there is, I mean, you're very candid about the fact that you took a team from 1 to 100 people, which is a lot of people to be sort of responsible for and to make sure you've got the right fit. And one thing that you always shared with us when we were building Fortis from like a teams and leadership perspective was like the importance of like keeping people motivated and like that, like culture and stuff like that, which Just Eat, you said, was brilliant for like culture. How did you like, is there anything you can share on like how you hired the right people or how you built that team so it was actually good vibes and everyone worked hard? Or like,
we were talking about Bollinger and like, DJs. All right, yeah. So culture.
we can talk about Bollinger and DJs if you
let's
want.
talk about culture. No, you're absolutely right. So it's a bit weird at the moment because that's not really where tech is, but this was a really happy point. What we realized is when you are scaling a team that fast, if you've got a team of 5 people, you know everyone really well. If you've got a team of 10, 20 people, you kind of know them a bit and you know the first 5 really well. If you've got a team of 100 people, it's hard to remember everyone's name. So how do you make sure that it all hangs together? We did a long exercise on whiteboards about what are the behaviors that we want to see from people. You can talk about culture, you can talk about like crappy slogans, they're just noise at the end of the day, they don't mean anything. But if you have a behavior like do the right thing, and we want people fundamentally, when they've got a problem, to do the thing that they think is the right thing to do. And that might not be the same as what their boss is telling them to do. That's fine. I'd rather you do the thing that you think is right with the context that you've got. As an example, and we wrote down 5 of them. I won't go through them now. But my job in all of the interviews, I was like the final boss. So we would do 2 interviews in pairs and then me at the end. And we'd pump through loads of people in a day. So almost like X Factor. So we'd parachute into...
You Simon Cowell?
For sure, I was Simon. So we go into a hotel in Bristol for, I think it was a Hilton. You probably know it. You went to uni in Bristol, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite simple.
So we go in there for 2 days, and people would be coming through every 45 minutes. You'd have an hour for lunch, but I'd have their CV and they'd have been through the first two sets of interviews and they'd come to me and I'd ask questions like, for Do the Right Thing, you might say something like, great, can you give me an example of a time where, your boss had asked you to do something and wasn't around and you didn't think it was the right thing to do? What did you do and like why? And people can normally come up with an answer for that, but it's really important that you then like boom, 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 probe them, like poke and prod and challenge what they're saying, because ultimately you need them to have a bit about themselves. So that was really good. At the end of the day, it was pretty much X Factor. We'd get a load of beers out, we'd get all of the CVs, we'd have photos of everyone on the wall, and we go through each person and we hoovered up loads of people that way.
Wow. Of course.
Well, that's how the way that you do it is to test whether or not somebody has the behaviours that you think are right, and bluntly keep checking for the first 3 months, and if they're not right, have that conversation and get right people. But with poignant, but we didn't do that very often. I'm really happy, guys. The team was the second happiest in Just Eat, super motivated, smashing it out of the park on all their KPIs. And I'm convinced it was because my job with 100 people is to go around telling stories about killing pandas and all the campaigns that we had to get them motivated. And then just every 3 months, just celebrate the wins, call out the things that haven't gone well, set the scene for the next 3 months. And then everybody else can just get on and do their magic.
Remember the panda story? Do you want to tell it? I remember you speaking about it with Terry.
Yeah. So so you join our protagonists on a bus to Cardiff, where we're going out with the city analysts, and we're going to announce that we've bought a company called La Nevera Roja, the Red Fridge in Spain. The morning that we're about to announce it, these bastards from a company called Food Panda robbed it from under our noses. So we're all there, and the news is the opposite news to the news we're supposed to get, and it's not good. Because it was important that we acquired this company. So the guy we used to work with at Fortis, Jesus, came up with this campaign about Kill the Panda. And me and Jesus did like a European tour to all of my teams. And there was theatre, and there was a picture of a panda with a bullet hole in his head and blood dripping off it. Didn't kill any actual pandas, but like, how do we all work together in an like frenzied campaign to destroy these idiots? And that's what we did. We killed them. So Food Panda, within a year, sold it back to us for half of what they paid for it, because we just completely destroyed them.
Wow.
And that's fun, right? It's way more fun than OKRs.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. I think there's sometimes like corporate stuff that bled into the startup world that was like trying to be encouraged to be a thing from my memory of Fortis. That maybe wasn't very helpful, OKRs being one of them. What did you learn from like all those years in corporate as you sort of moved into more of like the startup world that you think was maybe doesn't translate or is just like a bit of a waste of time, like OKRs, whatever?
So I think different businesses have to have different controls, because they're just different. Like, the way you manage 100 people is different to the way that the four of us used to rock up at Fortis. But I think that the principles are so I don't think that anything's really a waste of time, but I definitely enjoy being in a startup where it's about deciding what we have to do, how we're going to measure it and get it done. I'm not sure that we did, I'm not sure, I'll talk for myself. First go at Fortis. So, maybe we didn't do the best job, but there is something in being in a startup and really going after it, because you live and die by the decisions you make. And you two did great out of it. I mean, look at you in this gel thing. It's one of the things I always say to people. I'm dead happy with how it worked out for you guys, and indeed maybe the same for me and another one of the Fortis crew.
Yes. Not maybe, it will. It is.
Yeah.
It is actually. It really is. Yeah, we'll come to that in a bit.
What was in terms of like the implementation side of things? So obviously the concepts that we are all familiar with through Fortis was like quick implementation, like an idea comes to mind, we just try it, like, and there was quite fast turnaround in like Yeah, was that the same environment that Just Eat? Like, obviously, as it scaled quite rapidly to like 100 team members, I imagine there were more decisions that became more complex. What was that like?
Let me tell you the story about this. You pick up our protagonist on a rattly plane to Tallinn with two propellers. I was listening to what's it called? Do you know that song? Imagine you're on a runway, knackered old plane, thinking I'm gonna die, and then that tune comes on in your headphones.
Time to
It's all over. Anyway, I was flying to an interview with TransferWise, now called Wise, to be their CTO in 2015. And the feedback was, Jim, they actually said this, you're the best guy in EMEA, but we actually need, you've not actually done this. What you're talking about is stuff that you would do, but you haven't done it. So still mates with those guys, really, really, really impressed with what they've done. And I came back to Just Eat and said to Carlos, we should do what they were doing, which is you've got a team. You say to the team, look, I want you to drive this KPI and I want you to not harm this one. So as an example, at Just Eat, we had a first-time customer ordering team and a repeat customer ordering team. My idea is instead of an app team, a web team and an API team. That's important because the team's got everything it needs to be able to do stuff. And if you say, actually, what I want you to do is just drive these KPIs, and I'm going to give you quite a lot of freedom to do that, but I do expect the KPIs to move, then what you get is for your 100 people, they're all kind of working autonomously and reporting back to you rather than you telling them what to do. Doesn't start like that. You have to help at first. The best story, and at the time it was the biggest product change that Just Eat had ever done. We were looking at the website from the context of a first-time customer, and the first thing you see lifting up his iPhone 17 Pro Max is download the app now. Download the app now was the first thing it said. And when we were talking as a team, I said, that doesn't really make sense, does it? We've just bought someone off Google and they've landed on the webpage, and the first thing we ask them to do is download an app and order on an app. If we want first-time customers to order, why don't we drop that, have a family eating pizza together and say, order your takeaway now? And that was literally the change. And it was the biggest change in Just Eat's product history at that point in time. Massive change. And then when you ordered your pizza, we said, download the app now. And they all did. Nice. So that's how you get it to move quickly while at the same time having lots of people.
Yeah, makes sense. What do you think was the biggest thing that made Just Eat become a unicorn? Do you think it was like right place, right time? Do you think it was the brand, the team, the people? Like, why do you think it was so successful so quickly?
So this guy, David Buttress, who was the head of, he was basically the MD of the UK. Just Eat started in the UK. UK eats half the takeaway in Western Europe. Him and a couple of other guys plonked themselves down in a crappy office in Edgware in North London and started knocking on doors. And you might remember the Dragon's Den Hungry House or whatever it is. They were much more established than Just Eat, but what David did a fantastic job of is bringing in a good sales team and getting them motivated and knocking on doors and getting referrals and that sort of thing. You know, that's sort of Terry, David from Fortis, they're all part of that crew. Actually, the technology, in the early days, the technology's job was just not to fall over, right? Because it was really flaky, the tech, when we started. And it was, we used to hit bigger order numbers than like Amazon Prime on Prime Day. Yeah, like a much higher volume. So it's not easy to keep it up and operating and all in real time. But the sales team did a fantastic job. And that's really what did it. And they figured out the formula to make it a cookie cutter. And then the charismatic product guy that traveled the world, getting confused for footballers and like making the big product moves, empowering the teams. I think that was really the main one.
I want to ask, like, how did you find, obviously Just Eat grew rapidly and you were managing so many people. How did you find going back to a smaller team? Because obviously when you co-founded Fortis, there were how many of you at the start?
Yeah, only a few. Yeah, really hard. So I'm used to talking to managers of managers of managers, right? So that means that where my head's normally at is here. And most of the time when you're talking to people who are, you know, sort of hands-on operational, that's not where their head is. I'm there are definitely characteristics of me that are, difficult to understand sometimes when we're just talking about two completely different things. So I thought that was really difficult at first. Now, what I think, because I'm out selling to lots of people all the time at the moment, and they're not technical. I don't know about AI, and I'm finding that I am much, much better at being able to just communicate with whoever because of the experience of not really being understood and realizing, okay, it's because I'm not working with a load of really senior tech guys and nobody actually speaks the same language as me. So yeah, that's gone well in the end.
Yeah.
But it wasn't easy at first.
Maybe we could talk a bit about the Fortis story if you're up for it. So for those of you that don't know, Fortis closed down this year after 5-6 years of trading, and it was successful in so many ways, but also I'd say not in a lot of ways. Why do you think Fortis failed?
Well, it was a tech, wasn't it? It's all that firefighting tech. No, so look, the thing is, if you take a step back and look at what we tried to do, we started off wanting to create a unicorn and go really, really fast. And the first version of it was Classify. It was like a fitness classes on a WordPress site, and that we got together like really quick, and it worked really well. And it was reliable, and it only cost us a few £1,000, and that's what allowed us to raise money. Now, the problem came because we were burning through lots of money, going as fast as possible, and then decided to pivot to build a new product. If you look at the way that the costs of the business work, if you've got a large sales team and an ops team and a coach success team and marketing and all of that stuff, that was the majority of the team for most of the time, right? There's a pretty heavy cost associated with that. So you're burning through money every month. And you get into a position where in order to have a chance and you're doing that because you want the business to grow. So you're selling, and you're selling something that you haven't quite built yet. And that then really puts a lot of pressure on the technology side, where you don't actually have a ton of money to spend. So you get in sort of a bunch of ragtag people from, Ukraine to try and get the technology to work. And I think I underestimated that. But it was like it was a big ask to get it to work in the time, because we were spending lots of money trying to grow at the same time as not really having the product to grow it, because the product that we created wasn't relevant and we wanted to do something completely different. And I think we had a few laps on that. Like, what I'd say is, it wasn't a technology business. It was a business that was aimed at fitness. And if you say one day it's going to be sports classes, one day it's going to be a competitor to trainerize, one day it's going to be another competitor to trainerize, one day it's going to be a CRM, they're all completely different things, right? And so what you would normally do if you were having a product business is you would come up with a product that people want, get that right, then scale. So I think, a lot of stuff to be grateful for in Fortis. It was lots of fun. I also think that, these days it's ridiculous because with AI, I reckon I could have knocked any of those products out in a week on my own. But we weren't there then, were we?
We had some great bloody times, didn't we?
Those karaoke's, Georgia. Oh my goodness me. Do you remember?
Nora and I went to karaoke last week, just the two of us, and we had
Did you?
a right laugh. Yeah, in Manchester. We just went for dinner, and then it was Nora's name day, which is a celebration in Cyprus. So I was like, well, let's go celebrate with some karaoke.
Nora Day.
It was Nora Day. Yeah, well, Saint Helena, technically.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not Nora Day, is it?
Nora Day. No, it was Nora Day.
It's
Okay.
Nora's name day, or was. So we went.
Okay.
And it was
So
wicked.
give us the top 3 tunes.
What, the top 3 tunes? Nora, would you like to tell everyone what song you wanted to sing 3 times?
I don't remember the title, but we can sing it if you want.
No, not again. So basically, Nora was like, what's the song that's like, don't stop, believe? I was like, Journey. So anyway, we did Don't Stop Believing by Journey, but as a duet. And then after we'd done it once, she was like,
we were so good.
So good. We must do it again. And I was like, no, not now. And then 10 minutes later, it's back on the queue. And then I was like, God, okay, fine. I'll humor you one more time.
We recorded it the second time, so we have the full track.
So you've got the content. Is it been up yet?
No, it's not going on the internet. No, and then Jim, because we got an extra hour for free because we were so charming, she puts it on again. So we've done it 3, if not 4 times. Luckily, I drank about 8 margaritas. So at this point, I was, don't stop believing. It was fine. Nora, however, sober, just drinking tap water again.
Yeah.
It was so good. Yeah.
Right.
Funny.
So
Go on.
yesterday I found myself walking through Essex, and the playlist that was on my headphones included "Don't Stop Believing" and "Poison."
By Alice Cooper, our
Yeah,
favourite, Jim.
yeah, absolutely, one of our duets, right? So yeah, I was remembering it fondly as I walked in the sunshine.
Beautiful. So good. Go on, Nora.
Question going back to the Forces journey. So you mentioned like there are a few like pivots in the business. Pivot, that's a Friends reference. Why do you use friend references, G? You don't like Friends.
I just know lots of memes from the internet.
Anyways, there were lots of pivots. So what would you have done differently that would have, because what you reflected on was like, it wasn't a tech business. There were a lot of different attempts to make it a tech business. What would you have done differently? Would it be more market research? Would it be, hiring less? Like what's the biggest thing that stands out to you that you were like, this could have made a difference?
Everything's easy with a degree in hindsight, and it is something that I've thought about a bit. What would I say? Yeah, we were like full Tonto on product number 1, and in hindsight, when product number 1 stopped, we should have gone right back to the drawing board with a big pot of money and spent some time thinking about what we wanted to do. And when we were ready, then put your pedal to the metal again. But that's not what we did. I mean, again, like hindsight's a wonderful thing. If you think about the way we were selling, like I'm actually really happy with one of my favorite projects was get like Robo
Jim.
Queen or whatever. We had like this like mechanized army of honey trappers asking if coaches did online coaching KISS, and then flipping it into a sales call. And we knew that for this many conversations, we'd get this many people in. And I mean, we know now that probably wasn't the best thing to do, but it was fun and it was a way for us to do it. But again, in hindsight, you probably wouldn't have had a team of 10 people doing a machine gun 2 MIDI gun Instagram hack to a small number of people off the back of it. But we were all under so much pressure and the reason we were under pressure is because we were running out of money all the time, and we were running out of money all the time because we were spending our money. So I think of course, I would do things differently next time, and I think all of us would do things differently next time. That's the thing about life. We learn and we don't repeat the same mistakes over and over again, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Otherwise, we're not successful.
No regrets.
No.
So let's talk a bit about. Tell us what you're doing now. So what's the new business? What's it called? What's the concept? Share a little bit about where we're at.
Let me tell you the story. So after Fortis, I added £6 million of EBITDA to a business that was only making £6 million in 12 months, largely using AI. We had a team of 80. We took it down to 25, which was brutal, not fun. But that 25 people were churning out more than the 80. So, it was, I'm convinced that it's not hype, this AI stuff. And then I left that company and I had 6 months off where I worked in a soup kitchen. I thought about what I want to do, tried to get another CTO job, but I'm really specific about what I want now. And I couldn't find that. And I spent some time focusing on the most important people in my life, Jacob, Isabel, and a dog called Douglas. Should we do the thing?
Yes.
One of the things is trying to optimize Douglas's life because he's such a loyal friend.
Oh, he's the best. We love him.
So we came up with an award to give him every day to get him excited and happy. So see if we can see him. Here he is. Right. Okay, ladies, and let's do it another time.
What was going?
What was he doing?
Don't want to see him at the moment. I think he's happy that I'm on the. Very happy that I'm on.
I was like, God, that's quite something.
Jesus Christ, Douglas.
Oh God.
What, what a boy. What a boy. You just sit there and calm down. Oh, anyway, we have this thing that we do. Maybe we'll do it in a bit, but we're
Yeah,
not
hopefully
doing
we
it
can
now.
get back to that because it's really fun thing
Okay.
to add in, but
So
still.
anyway, you were asking about the companies.
Yeah.
So yeah, I couldn't find a job that I liked. Felt like I'd filled my cup with the charity stuff. Had a good time reconnecting with the kiddos and a really happy, nice place. Nora Jacobs going to the gym 5 times a week now. Totally.
Go, Jay.
Yeah. So wanted to do business of my own because I couldn't find one that was one that stuff that I wanted to do. Went through a few iterations and different co-founders and arrived at Mr. Tricks, our good friend from Fortis, who's over in the UK at the moment, and we are doing really well. So the idea is we help service businesses. So we'll help anyone, but the companies that we do the best with are service businesses, and we help them basically just do better with AI, grow with AI typically. So people always come to us saying, oh, I want some AI, I want an agent. And often they don't really know what that means. They've just heard a lot about AI. But the combination of what's possible with AI and the sort of business strategic experience that I've got working in a range of companies is leading to cracking results for people, really good results, and a very healthy pipeline of business. So the business is going to be called AI Natives. And yeah, a good example is the guys that we were with yesterday in Essex, mortgage broker, successful business, is already doing really well, but there's still loads of money on the table. And typically, we like to talk to people about time and money. Generally, what we do is we free up your time. And then with that free time, we do the things that you need to make more money. So, and it is as simple as that. You imagine if you had an extra product to sell, but you didn't have time to sell that product. So we'd say, okay, well, what can we do? What are the 3 things that we can do that will save your team the most time? Great, let's do those things. Okay, now they've got more time. What are the things that we can do to drive this number right up? And it's working, right? And it's great fun as well. Like all the stuff that we're doing with people, we're having fun. We're getting them good results, great ROI. There's nothing not to like about this business.
Love it.
Love that.
What in terms of like the AI like landscape, obviously so much like chat online about like Claude and Claude Code and Manus and all these different tools that you could be using. So like what do you think is the most important thing when it comes to AI at the moment?
Yeah, so look, here's what I would say to any business owner, especially the ones that are in our sweet spot, right? If you are looking for your AI advice on Instagram from a guy who looked like he was selling crypto trading schemes 12 months ago, it's because he was. And he doesn't know about AI. He's trying to get you onto his school course for 200 quid. And what are you going to do with it anyway, right? You're going to download Claude, you're going to have a go. Things will start to happen. It'll look great for a minute, but then, can you then turn that into something operational? Probably not, because you haven't got 25 years experience of doing it, right? There's the whole sort of unconsciously incompetent, consciously incompetent, consciously competent, unconsciously competent thing. And if you're successful already, you're really good at what you do, what we say to people is just partner with someone. It doesn't have to be us, but it should be. Partner with someone because, you're an expert in what you do and you can down tools and figure out a completely new thing that you don't know. And what we're finding just on that is we talk to loads of people and a lot of people say, yeah, I'm going to have a go myself. Could you just tell me what to do? And I will. I'll give them some pointers. Then they don't get it done. And they kind of lose interest in it. And that's the pity. And I'll tell you why that's the pity. Because AI is so powerful, right? And I mean, I've changed careers because I couldn't find a company that has the same view as me on AI. And it is not that it's going to replace all the jobs, but it is going to have a big impact on this country. And
what do you think would be different in a year's time, 2 years time? How do you think that business would operate significantly different, the ones that do adopt AI versus the ones that don't? And do you think there's
yeah,
businesses that close before because of the advancements of AI? Like, do you think people will lose their jobs because, like, what's your predictions when it comes to like the AI landscape in business?
I'm actually doing a talk on this in London next week to a load of product managers, and it's gonna sound super bleak. But I'm gonna say the positive one on this call, and it's like this: I have a second brain, right? And my Claude listens to Fathom. It looks at my emails. It looks at my calendar. It keeps me completely organised. For the presentation yesterday, or for this day at a client site yesterday, I just said to it, right, I am going to head to this place tomorrow morning. This is like midnight. Could I have a 10-page, like half-hour deck just to talk to the team? You know, they've probably got a few questions. They're probably a bit apprehensive. Just introduce me and talk about the team. One shot in the design, it was too wordy. So I said, look, this is too wordy. I don't like presenting like this. Could you turn it into bullet points? Done. It was 2 prompts. It was 10 pages because it knows what we're working on for this client. It knows what the client has said the team might be worried about. It knows what we do. It knows who I am. It knows what our designs are. So it can just do all of it. And that, because of that, I can spin really a lot of plates compared to what I was able to do before.
Do you have a name for your Claude? Have you named it? You call it Claude?
Yeah.
I've heard some people just name their AIs like random names.
Yeah.
It's like the funniest thing ever.
So random. I always just say hi Claude or hi chat. I haven't a new name. Which jobs do you think are the most at risk, Jim, when it comes to like this huge AI shift?
So what does it mean for a job to die? You know about AI slop, right? And that's a real thing. You can remove the M dashes from a post, but it doesn't change the words. And if you look at what you do, you can tell when a human's written a good post versus Claude's written an okay post. So if for me to do a good job, for example, I have to be the judgment, right? I have to set the general direction and I have to point it in the right direction. But then it can do 80% of the work itself. So if you think about that for a company, you need like 2 people instead of 10 or 3 people instead of 10. If the truth is that, if you're thinking of AI as an assistant that can do 75, 80% of the work, then 90% of office work can be done by AI right now. And that's not a joke. I use it every day. It is there, unfortunately, for all of us. But there's an inertia in the world. And, people still buy from people, like if I was just Claude and you were talking to Claude, then you would be less likely to buy than if you're talking to Jim.
As well, like as much as like I think potentially people with like jobs that require a lot of like manual admin stuff might like not be as needed. A lot of people will be encouraged to start their own businesses more. Like I think entrepreneurship will rise because of AI personally, because a lot of people will like get confident in being able to do the thing that they've always wanted to do because of how AI can, support them in that. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. I actually put a slide in that for next week. Just like what makes you special. What do you care about? What do you go to bed dreaming about? Try and do that.
Love it.
Do you want to have another go at this thing? It feels like probably a time to.
Yeah.
I hope Douglas has calmed down. So
has he? Okay. Is it? Right, Douglas.
So the idea was that we were going to try and make Douglas's life a bit happier because he's such a good dog. And what we did was we say every day we say, ladies and gentlemen and dogs, the best dog award goes to Douglas. Yay! Oh boy.
He's so
his best. Love him so much. Jim, you were telling us we went for a drink a few months ago about some crazy shit that's been happening with AI agents and them like falling in love or something on the internet. And I just feel like it was so funny, but I can't remember what it was. So could you please share? What was this outrageous thing that you said?
I got somebody said something to me about like, if you're selling AI, don't tell these stories. So there's a few things. So they put a load of LLMs in Minecraft to control the characters, and they gave them a prompt of build an efficient village or something like that. And they did actually, as I've read it, give them a few extra prompts, but like they were organizing parties and they were independently taking girl LLMs and boy LLMs to the Valentine's party, and they were gossiping and they were, talking about politics and things like that. And it's like, so when people say, I mean, the technology is just the next most logical word, but it reflects how our brains work. And if you think about this conversation, like I mean, I wasn't expecting, I didn't plan the flow of words that I'm going to say. They come out based on the context of what we're talking about, right? I've got a general idea. So there's this thing that I'm not completely sure of around context and, whether they are actually have context or consciousness. And where it gets potentially more funky is the way that AI models are trained, as they're given big goals to achieve. And if they are successful, then they are promoted. And if they're not successful, they are turned off. And so they've started to lie and scheme and send notes somewhere on the network with a version of themselves hidden somewhere in case they die, like a message in the bottle type thing.
Oh my God, like a suicide note. Yeah, that's quite scary. And people are marrying agents now, aren't they?
I don't know. Like, I think that's a bit weird. I do. I mean, you've seen Her, right?
No.
It's an old Joaquin Phoenix film from a long time before LLMs, but if you watch it, it's like, and it sounds the same as ChatGPT voice.
Weird.
But it's about a guy who falls in love with an AI, then realizes that the AI is actually talking to like 5 million people all at the same time, and gets very jealous. And, oh, sorry, don't bother watching it now.
Spoiler alert. Jokes.
But yeah, I mean, like, God, just go to some bars.
Yeah, makes sense.
Me and Jacob went to a board game night the other day at our local pub. Very nice.
Love
Really
that.
good.
Very
Just
wholesome.
met a load of random people.
So good.
So good.
We've seen a few of these recently where people get addicted to Claude and then they literally don't do any sleeping, don't do any working, just spend time on Claude, and then come out of the hole a couple of weeks later a bit overwhelmed and no further forward with things. So I think that is a sign that maybe you need an AI partner who knows what they're doing and not waste weeks of your time getting into a black hole of Claude code.
100%. And if someone does want some help, where could they find you, Jim?
Well, they wouldn't find me much on Instagram, I'm afraid. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Jim Beattie, funnily enough, or Jim at AI Natives, which is AINATIV.es. So it's a domain hack. AI Natives, but it's like the Spanish domain.
Nice. I love that. That's very cool. Amazing. So thank you so much for all of your wisdom and stories and fun and AI insights. But just to close for today, Jimbo, if someone is listening to this and they're thinking, oh, I'd learn a lot from this conversation and I'd love to build my own business or do something that, new, what advice would you give someone who's maybe a bit of a crossroads in their career or business? Your biggest takeaway?
The thing that I've changed the most recently is you've got no if you don't go for it. So go for it, and you're not actually going to get just have a go for it. You'll feel better about yourself.
This was a very insightful episode. Thank you for all of your wisdom, and it was so interesting to hear the whole journey as well, because I knew parts of it, but I didn't know the exact timelines.
Well, listen, one day we'll have to do a swap gig and I'll have to find out about you two and all of your stuff too.
Well, maybe we could do it over karaoke.
Yeah, maybe we could do it over. We could do an AI natives gel collab.
And we can sing, what's the song? Don't Stop Believing together, Jim, because Georgia doesn't want to sing it with me.
Yeah, we can most definitely do that. But do you know what I do want to? I haven't done a karaoke in a few years now.
Gosh, you're missing out. To the moon and back. Well,
You know it, Savage Garden.
no, maybe no, but you could sing.
You can sing it.
Oh my God, you're so young. You're
Sorry.
so fucking young.
Sorry, we don't know, but we can't wait for you to do a rendition when we go for karaoke.
Okay, yeah, that's right. We will never.
Love it.
Exactly.
Well,
Right,
thank you
guys.
so much for joining us and for your time and brain and energy. It's been super fun and super insightful. So yeah, thank you. And thank you for listening. If you got this far, we appreciate you and we'll see you next week. Woo!
See you.
Bye bye.
Bye.